So you join me today in the little Welsh village of Mole, I think it's called. Any Welsh speakers in the comments, please do feel free to correct me. And I'm on the Speedo 114, so this is one of the biggest updates in the Harley range for this year. It gets the 114 version of the Milwaukee 8, so bigger capacity, more power, more torque. And yet this is the lightest softail, I think, or the lightest one with the 114 engine. So it goes a bit, and I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride because we've got some epic roads up here. I know I always say that, but this one is truly excellent. It's the Bwlch Mountains, I think, which is spelled Bwlch. So, again, anyone who actually speaks the language, do let me know on that one regarding the pronunciation. But long and short of it is that it's an incredible road. A big thanks to Cardiff Harley Davidson. They're only about 40 minutes south of here, but it's an awesome space, that shop. It's really nice and big inside, loads of beautiful bikes, and definitely worth a trip if you're local. Speak to Barry there if you want to organise a demo on this bike or any other Harley for that matter. They've got plenty of demo bikes there. Yeah, it's a big old beast, this. 114 cubic inches, which I think is like 1.8, 1.9 litres. Oh, sheep. Oh. And it makes 155 newton meters of peak torque, which is quite something. And it's super low down at 3,000 revs, so even at 2,000, even below that perhaps, where you might think it's going to get bogged down, you know that feeling of the engine like really labouring when it's revving too low. It just doesn't seem to happen on this bike. I was on the motorway just coming over to the hills here, and at 60 it's doing about 2,000 revs in 6th gear, and you just twist the throttle and it effortlessly just accelerates up to 70 with no problem and beyond. So overtakes are so easy, it just doesn't feel like it's working at all. This is a well-known viewpoint, little sandwich van there, but I'm going to go off left here. It's my first time on these roads, as per usual, with me sort of finding all the good locations since we moved out towards Bristol. So yeah, not roads that I know particularly well, but it's not too sort of tight and technical. I mean, there was no doubt that this bike would be good in a straight line. Like I say, the lightest of the 114s, and it's just so beefy. Through the bends it's not too bad either though. It is Showa suspension, so there's some quality to it. I wouldn't say it's the most supple ride of all the bikes I've been on recently, but for the genre of cruiser, it's not bad. Obviously being a cruiser with those raked out forks, it favours stability over sharpness of handling, but if you do sort of quite intentionally counter steer with it, it actually feels quite manoeuvrable. I would like a little more from it in the braking department for this sort of road, but It's pretty common for the Harleys to have a single disc at the front and then quite a big 300mm or so disc on the rear, and it's the same here. It's nearly 300 kilos wet, this bike, so riding on the front brake alone. Alright, so I'm going back up the same road. It's nice to go uphill because you feel like you can attack a bit more. Yeah, so I've been finding that it feels more reassuring with a bit of back brake as well. So you just have to adapt your riding a little bit. In terms of the riding position, you've got mid-position pegs, which I much prefer for this sort of thing, where you can, maneuver your weight a little more easily. Forward pegs, I don't mind them for cruising along, but I definitely prefer mid-pegs for hustling a bit. And then you've got these mini apes. Took a little getting used to for the first few miles, especially because I rode there on a 1250 GS, which is, obviously a very different riding position on that bike. But yeah, it's pretty comfy, holds its weight nice and low. Obviously not much of a reach to the ground, and actually the sort of position for your arms feels quite natural. These roads have to be some of the best in the UK. They're just stunning. Such a big drop down to that village down there, and then you've got these long sweeping switchbacks. And I do really like this cockpit. So you've got such a clean look to it. I don't know if you can see on the GoPro, but the Speedo in that is actually built into the handlebar clamps, and you've got a few lights below there. So if you've got your indicators on or whatever, all the usual stuff. Keyless as well, which again keeps it super clean. And then the switchgear and mirrors and grips and levers on Harleys always feel really nicely made to me. There's definitely a premium feel to the finish, and it's similarly unfussy in terms of like riding electronics, so there's no modes or anything and no aids to speak of. In fact, I think it's just ABS, no traction control, just you and the bike. Like I say, there's keyless, there's LED headlights, there's self-cancelling indicators, so there's some concessions to modernity, but really it's like got that truly old school stripped back feel to it. Just spent a bit of time working my way through the towns there, and then back out the other side now to the Regos viewpoint. Again, loads of these big sweeping bends. I don't expect you're getting a great deal of exhaust note from this bike. Firstly, because I normally put that mic under the seat, and this doesn't have like any under seat to speak of. So it's in my bag, in one of the pockets, and hopefully that's not muffling it too much. But also the stock pipes on these Milwaukee 8 bikes are pretty quiet. I mean, realistically, I'd expect the majority of their customers to fit the Screaming Eagle accessories, and that would help a lot. It really needs it with all that capacity and guts to it. You just want to hear it that little bit more. Unfortunately, this Regos road up to the viewpoint has been a 40 limit so far. So it just means you're not driving that extra bit harder out the corners. That's the fun, isn't it, on a bike like this with all that torque, is just like pinning it as you come out of those tight bends, and it just zips up to speed. Whereas you can cruise around most of these long bends at 40, but I can enjoy the scenery. These black and white barriers certainly add to the like alpine feel, and the pine trees. Doesn't feel like the UK, especially considering how far south we are. Anyway, here we are at the viewpoint. Oh, let's have a look. See the reservoir all the way down there. Over to the Brecons, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed this little spin on the StreetBob 114. There we are, in situ. What a cracking looking bike as well. I love this paint job. Just going to find somewhere to pull up now and film a proper review. But I hope you're all well. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. And I'll catch you in the next one.